April 21st. A day that should have passed like any other, but didn't. It's a date where legends fell from the sky, fire consumed lives behind locked bars, and the world lost one of its most iconic voices in music. From a crimson plane spiraling to earth, to smoke rising from a prison cell, to a quiet estate where the music suddenly stopped. This is a journey into tragedy, loss, and the moments we dare not forget. This is April 21st. Death of the Red Barrow. April 21st, 1918. The sky over the Somme River shivered with the sound of engines, and one of history's deadliest aviators, known only by the color of his plane, was about to meet the ground for the last time. This is the story of the Red Baron, and how, on that silent Sunday morning, death finally caught the hunter in red. Manfred von Richthofen was not a man, he was a legend. Germany's top fighter pilot, the pride of the Luft Street Freight with 80 confirmed aerial victories. He was a ghost in the clouds, feared by every Allied pilot. They called him the Red Baron, a name whispered like a curse across trenches. But legends are not immortal. On April 21st, 1918, the Red Baron spotted a British Sopwith Camel below and gave chase. Cutting low over enemy territory, lower than he ever had before. He was flying too deep, too alone, too exposed, and the ground was watching. A bullet tore through the side of his torso, severing his heart. He had just moments. With trembling hands, Richthofen guided his burning red plane toward the earth. Witnesses said he landed it gently, almost peacefully, before slumping forward in the cockpit. He was 25 years old. Allied troops approached, expecting a monster, but they found a man, still young, still human. They didn't cheer. They saluted. ... The enemy had just lost their greatest knight of the skies, and the war suddenly felt colder. He was buried by his enemies with respect. They didn't know who fired the fatal shot. Some say it was a Canadian pilot. Others insist it was a ground soldier. The truth was lost in the fog of war. But one thing was certain. The sky had lost its deadliest predator, and beneath that red plane, a myth was born. He hunted from the clouds and died chasing one last kill. April 21st, 1918, the day the Red Baron fell, and the world looked to the sky a little more carefully. Ohio Penitentiary Fire. April 21st, 1930, Columbus, Ohio. A prison packed beyond its limits, a match struck in the wrong place, and steel that locked hundreds inside with no way out. This is the story of the Ohio Penitentiary Fire, the deadliest prison fire in American history. A night when mercy came too late. The Ohio Penitentiary was a fortress, built to hold 1,500 men, but by 1930, it held almost triple. Guards walked narrow tiers above men packed to two a cell. Disease was common, hope was rare. Then came the fire. It began in a single cell. A spark caught the old straw bedding. Flames raced along wooden shelves and walls like they'd been waiting. Smoke thickened. Screams echoed. But the cells stayed locked. Some guards ran. Others fumbled with keys. Most panicked. ... The prisoners, helpless, begged to be freed. But the steel did not bend, and the fire didn't wait. Men were burned alive in their cages. Some suffocated from the smoke. Others died clutching the bars, so close to escape they could feel the night air. Rescuers who did enter found bodies piled in corners, flesh melted to iron. It was horror beyond imagining. 322 men lost their lives that night. It was the deadliest prison fire in U.S. history, and yet it was preventable. Outdated infrastructure, no sprinklers, no fire alarms, locked doors, ignored warnings. Some said they were criminals and got what they deserved. Others saw the truth. They were human beings, abandoned in their final moments. Reforms were promised. Some came, but most faded. The Ohio Penitentiary itself was torn down years later. A sports arena was built over its bones. But if you listen closely, they say you can still feel the heat rising from the ground and hear the screams behind the steel. Day the music turned purple. April 21st, 2016. A quiet morning at Paisley Park turned into global mourning. The world lost a voice, a legend, a mystery cloaked in purple. This is the story of Prince, his final day, and the eerie silence that followed one of music's most electric souls. Prince Rogers Nelson was more than an artist. He was a storm, a shapeshifter, a rebel with a falsetto that could pierce hearts. He broke boundaries, musical, sexual, racial. He wrote symphonies in silence, turned colors into feelings, words into rhythms. But beneath the glitter and genius, something darker stirred. A week before his death, Prince's private jet made an emergency landing. The official story, the flu, but rumors whispered of something stronger, something deadly, running through his veins. Still, he performed. Still, he smiled. Still, he made the world dance. The night before his death, Prince picked up a prescription. Witnesses said he looked thin, faint, but kind. He returned to Paisley Park alone, into the walls that had witnessed genius and loneliness alike. And the next morning, silence. They found him in the elevator, unresponsive, cold. Prince had died from an accidental overdose of fentanyl, an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin. He likely had no idea what he was taking. The world was stunned. An artist so careful, so controlling of his image, undone by a counterfeit pill. The grief was instant and worldwide. From Minneapolis to Tokyo, thousands gathered in the streets, crying, singing, dancing, mourning, because Prince wasn't just a man. He was music, emotion, energy. And for the first time, the music had stopped. Prince left behind more than hits. He left mystery, power, vulnerability, and a reminder that even the brightest stars can fade too soon. He died alone, but his echo, it still lingers, in every falsetto, every thunderclap of rhythm, every purple glow on a midnight street. April 21st, 2016, the day the music turned purple, and the world stood still. Long live the artist, long live the echo. April 21st has carried echoes of sorrow through history. The ace who ruled the skies brought down in a final flight. Hundreds of souls locked away and left to burn behind steel. And a voice that defined generations, gone with a single pill. But even in tragedy, there's memory. And in memory, there's meaning. Thank you for joining us in remembering the lives, the losses, and the lessons etched into this date. Subscribe for more stories that honor the past, one haunting date at a time.